This is my drum set. This is they're Tama drums, cylinders and cymbals. And the first thing I want to tell you about is like the reason why I have the toms set up the way they are and why I do what I do, like why this is over here, why this is here, is because the first original kit that I started out to play was a 4-piece kit, which is basically these drums, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that's what I feel comfortable doing. I feel comfortable playing on a 4-piece kit. And everything that I kind of do is based around these three, the ride down here. And I found that when I started getting into bigger drum sets, I still wanted to maintain this kind of a setup. So I wanted to add some toms, so I went to an extra floor tom. And I wanted to add another tom that was just a higher voice within the drums. So I started out and I had a 12 over here, and I wanted it to be a little more high-pitched voice. So I ended up with a 10, because I like the way a 10-inch drum sounds. So it's 10, 13, 15, 16. And the reason why I have a 15 and a 16 as opposed to a lot of guys have a 16 and an 18, or a 14 and a 16, is because I'm playing in a rock band, Mr. Big, so for the gig I wanted a little bit bigger rock sound, so I went for 15 and 16. And the reason why I didn't go to 16 and 18 is because an 18-inch drum, for me, my opinion, doesn't really translate well through a sound reinforcement kind of thing, like a PA system. It turns into where it just goes, ba, bo, it's so low. So that's why I did it like this, because you can get plenty of low end out of a 16-inch drum. That's my opinion. And so that's why I did it this way. And I moved this over to the side because it just felt good. And like I said, I liked being able to go, if I'm going up for the tom, I go right up to the tom. Ding, bong, bang, like this. Fiddle-a-bump, fiddle-a-bump. That's a big part of what I do. Fiddle-a-bump. And you can do that like that. You don't have a choice. In other words, I didn't like it if I had a tom here and a tom here. And not only does it all of a sudden, I got to either go here or here, it also moves the ride out. I like having a low ride. It's just a real basic, traditional kind of a setup. And that's why I did it that way. And I have 24-inch kick drums, and I like a bigger kick drum. I like bigger kick drums. I used to play like a John Bonham influence kind of deal. I had a 26-inch bass drum, but I got into playing a double kick, and so this is what I ended up with. The next thing I guess I can talk about is the way I have my hi-hat set up here. If you can see that it's pretty close. It's kind of low, and it's mostly because when I'm playing, I like to have it right here, just right there. It's where I can play it. So then I can play it with my left or my right, and it's right there. I'm not doing this. Some guys have their hi-hat way out here and up high, and it's like a real arm thing, because I like it real tight, easy to get to, and that's why it's there. And the configuration, the setup I have here is actually, this is a remote hi-hat, and it's a short cabled remote. The reason I do that is because I want the pedal to be close to this pedal, because sometimes I do things where I have my foot angled like this, and I play both at the same time. It's just for another effect. So you get a hi-hat closing with this bass drum. It also, because of the cable, I can bring it in closer. I can move this around any place I want it, as opposed to straight up and down. It would be way out over here somewhere. Okay, so that's why I did it that way. And this was my own little contraption. The angle of these toms, some people have asked me, well, why is there so much distance between the snare and there? And mostly, when you're playing with 26-inch kick drums, it's hard to get the drums up above there, so that's kind of one way to do it. And I don't really want I didn't want to angle them at me like this. It's a cosmetic kind of thing. I don't like the way it looks. It might be shallow, it might be stupid, but from the front, the way the kit looks is important to me. It's something that I care about. So that's kind of why they're like that. And I don't really find any difficulty about getting up there. I mean, it's just boom, boom, boom. You know, I mean, it's not that hard once you get used to it. And I also sit really low. And I guess that started out when I was really young. My mom got me this used set of drums, and you know, she got the cymbals and everything, but she forgot one thing. She forgot to buy a stool. So I went right into the kitchen and pulled out a kitchen chair. Well, a kitchen chair, you sit pretty low at a kitchen table. You know, it's pretty comfortable to sit. So for a while, I was carrying around this kitchen chair, playing off this kitchen chair. So I got used to sitting low, and it's just something that stuck with me. And so that's how that kind of explains that. The reason why I have baby powder is I put a little bit of it down on the floor here, right next to the pedal. See right here, I just kind of a little bit on the floor, see, like that. The technique I use on the bass drum is my heel's up a little bit, and I slide it like that, okay? If I have any moisture on the bottom of my foot, it'll stick to the pedal and prevent me from doing that slide. So what I do is I kind of like it's kind of like a pitcher's rosin bag or something. I stick my foot to dry it. It takes the moisture off the bottom of my foot, and then it makes it slide. And it just makes it feel good. And that's why I do that. It's just my way of correcting a problem that I might have. The reason why I have all this contraption and all this stuff down here is to get this tom swing it around way over here, because it wouldn't work off of this particular thing here. They haven't really made a tom holder that would do this. And I thought about having a rack system, but that poses other problems, like having a low ride cymbal. And also, as some people may or may not be aware of, is that when you have a rack that goes all around your kit, and it's time to move your kit, and you just got done playing your big opening set for Rush, and guys attack your kit like there's no tomorrow, ripping it off the stage, and it takes 5 guys to lift that rack up, it just doesn't work. It comes apart, it falls apart, it breaks. I mean, there's no rack that would stand it. So that's why I did it this way. I have 2 small racks on each side that hold all, there's a lot of contraptions and things over here, and they all serve a purpose. Microphone, the tambourine, which I use for percussion. But it's real easy for one guy to pick this up like a sawhorse and moves this whole thing out. So it's mostly done for being able to get it on and off stage really quick. Some people have asked me about why I have 2 portholes in the kick drum. I have internal mics in the kick drum, and the reason why I have 2 holes is it's easier to adjust the mics by putting one hand in and being able to see what you're doing with the mic, or adjust. I have a little bit of muffling at the bottom of the drum. It's easy to get your hands in there and work with it. It's a lot easier than trying to stick one hand in and try to figure out and feel what you're doing. You can actually see, or you can get 2 hands in there. And it's also, you know, kind of just my little way of trying to do something a little different.